Welcome to another episode of the HeatStrokes podcast.
Oh, I should have yelled too.
Hosted by Brady, Kannon, and Matt Youmans. Get ready to experience golf as you've never seen and heard it before.
The price is wrong.
Through the lens of Brady and Matt's experienced eye as they brave the toughest courses in the West under the scorching Las Vegas heat. Your course reviews, expert PGA analysis, and top weekly golf betting strategies are teed up and ready to fire. Alongside Matt Youmans, here's your starter, Brady Kannon.
It is deadheatgolf.com, home of the HeatStrokes podcast. Welcome, everybody, to our inaugural episode. I'm Brady Kannon, along with my friend and co-host Matt Youmans of VSiN, the Vegas Stats and Information Network, as we kick off episode number 1 of 20, beginning with, of course, Masters Week. Matt, great to have you along, my friend. Good to see you again. It was a couple of months ago when you and I concocted this idea that we should maybe talk about some of the golf that we play in the dead heat of summer here in Las Vegas, and also maybe give out some of our PGA Tour picks for that week's PGA Tour event, have a couple guests along and have them submit their picks. And here we are, a couple months of a lot of hard work and great support from our sponsors, and kicking it off with none other than Masters Week, my friend.
Hello, friend. It's good to be here today. And it's a great week in the golf world. That's an understatement. And it's finally time for the first major of the year. And I'm fired up for it. This is the Super Bowl of golf betting, Brady. And we got a lot to talk about today, so let's get into it.
Yeah, let's start with the golf course review. And at the top of the batting order is Bali High Golf Club, located on the fabulous Las Vegas Strip, right next to the Mandalay Bay Resort. It's a par 71, 7,002 yards, designed by Brian Curley and Lee Schmidt, who have designed a number of award-winning golf courses all over the world. They were, in fact, a part of Jack Nicklaus's design team way back when. But just a beautiful property, kind of a Polynesian tropical type theme. You've got palapa bars and tiki torches and white sand bunkers. Just a stunning property, so conveniently located, and just the ultimate resort course, Matt, for those visitors staying on the Las Vegas Strip. Easy to get to, relatively forgiving as far as playability, not too easy, but not also too difficult. It really balances for all skill levels involved here. And it's been one of my favorite courses for a long time for a lot of different reasons. How about you? When did you get first introduced to Bali High, and what do you like about this golf course?
I played Bali High many years ago, and then you and I have played it a few times more recently, but you and I love to play golf out in the summer, and that's why we're calling this Dead Heat. And the HeatStrokes podcast is when it starts to get hot, I'm looking out the window, Brady. It's the sun's peeking out. The temperature's going to start to rise. It's going to be time to dust off those golf clubs and hit the course. But I like Bali High, and when people ask me which courses they should play, I usually include Bali High in that list because, one, it's convenient on the Strip. Two, it's much different than any other course you're going to play in Vegas. When you're out there, you feel like you're on a tropical paradise, right? And not only that, you're on a tropical paradise, and you've got the Strip casinos towering over you, and it's just unlike any other course you're going to play. And you stole my line. I was going to say it's not too easy, but it's also not too tough. And I think it's challenging, but you can go out there and shoot a good score and enjoy the day without being ticked off all afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. The right layout and design for a resort course. You don't want to beat up the customers that are just out there for a good time on vacation, what have you. Also a great restaurant, Sealy Restaurant, located in the clubhouse with a beautiful patio that overlooks the pond and the water features. Really good food there. I mean, it's just a high-end place. Everything is classy. The golf shop, the customer service, the valet parking. It's just a nice place to hang out for a few hours. And of course, there's a little twist here. Obviously, Matt, you and I, part of this podcast involves sports betting. And, you know, who owns Bali High is maybe the world's most famous sports bettor of all time. Billy Walters owns Bali High Golf Club. You think he's had a couple of high-stakes golf games out there over the years?
I'm sure Billy has, and I'm sure a lot of other people have as well. And, there's no gambling allowed at Bushwood, but there is gambling allowed at Bali High, I guess you could say. But Billy Walters for those who know, I would say the most respected sports bettor of all time. That's how I refer to him. And I'm looking forward to his book coming out in August, because that's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. I was thinking, they should have a book signing at Bali High Golf Club with Bill there signing off on the copies, of course, co-written with he and Armin Katayan, coming out, as you mentioned, this August. Play around to golf, have Mr. Walters sign your book. That could be a pretty cool day down there on the Las Vegas Strip. Let's talk about one of our experiences in particular at Bali High. And I think it was 2020 or 2019. We went out there in the dead of heat, like we always do. Jay Cornegay, the vice president of the Race and Sports Book at the Superbook at the Westgate, and then Brian Musburger, the CEO of VSiN. The four of us went out there, and it was pretty blistering hot. And of course, you and I enjoy that. Jay didn't seem to mind. I think he shot the best round that day, but it was truly HeatStrokes podcast category there for Mr. Musburgers. I think he had to bow out about the last 9 holes or so.
Yeah, Brian's a great guy, but he doesn't get out of the house a lot and hit the golf course in the middle of the summer. I don't think he was ready for those conditions. Now, the way I remember it, Brady, it was about 105 that day. Not that bad. Brian would probably tell the story and say it was 125. But I think the heat got to him about to turn, and he couldn't make the back 9. But that's why I love playing golf out here in Vegas in the summer when it's that hot, because they always say it's not the heat, it's the humidity. And from playing golf in the Midwest and the South, and I far prefer the desert conditions of where you're not sweating the entire time you're playing. And, I've played plenty of golf in temperatures around 120 and higher out here. So I enjoy that. And if you're conditioned for it, it's not a big deal. But that day we were at Bali High. I think it was a little bit rough on Brian Musburger, but we had a good time. And I'm ready to go out there again. About ready to get the clubs out of the closet, Brady, and hit the course.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting to warm up here. Masters Week, of course, always ushers in springtime, the season here for golf in Las Vegas for sure. And the temperature's starting to creep up a little bit. It just might be time to dust off those clubs indeed. What is I know the answer here. You and a good friend of ours, Nick Bogdanovich, share your favorite hole at Bali High. Which one is that? Tell us a little bit about it.
That's a par 3 9th hole. And I think you know the exact yardage. I'm going to say it's about 125 yards. Is that right?
Yeah, it's kind of unique. You can tip that thing all the way out to about 200 or as short as 100 yards. It's a massive tee box right by the clubhouse, big water feature there. But typically, I think when you and I play, it's about 125 yards, yes.
You could play it a little longer, I guess. I think that day we played it at about 125 the last time we were out there. But I love holes like that because I think they're good gambling holes too. Because usually when we play, we have some sort of game going on. And that 9th hole, 125 yards, is a great one to just try to barely get it over the water, see how close you can stick it to the pin. And like you said, it's a picturesque hole right there by the clubhouse. And that's my favorite hole in the course by far. I think Nick Bogdanovich, our buddy who works at Circus Sports, longtime Vegas bookmaker, also said that's his favorite hole out there. And I have to agree.
Yeah, he likes the fact that they've got a phone there on the tee box where you can order food from Sealy Restaurant. And like you allude to, he talks about a lot of bets usually coming down to the wire there because it is the 9th hole. For some information on Bali High, how to make a tee time there, how to play, you can go to balihigh.com, ballyhighgolfclub.com, I should say, BALIHAI golfclub.com, or you can call their phone number, 888-427-6678. And tell them the folks from the HeatStrokes podcast sent you. We are going to get to our Masters picks. It is time to get to the PGA Tour's event, the big one. The first major of the year is indeed the Masters at Augusta National Golf Club. And we're going to take a quick break, some commercials from our kind sponsors. And I want to tell you folks, you know how you can't miss the commercials for the Super Bowl? You don't want to miss these commercials either. They're really good. Stick around. We'll be right back.
When the HeatStrokes crew isn't burning up the hottest golf courses in the country, playing a game we'd all spend a lifetime trying to master, they're doing something just as smoking, but a whole lot easier. They're playing My Vegas Slots. It's a top-ranked, free-to-play mobile app that lets you earn valuable real-world rewards from some amazing partners like MGM Grand, Bellagio, and Norwegian Cruise Line. You can score rooms, great meals, show tickets, and more just for playing. Download My Vegas Slots today from your favorite app store. And if you're anything like Brady and Matt, we know you're going to love it. And that's something you can bet on. Want to gamble like the pros? At LasVegasAdvisor.com, you'll find the world's best how-to books, software, and strategy cards featuring blackjack, poker, video poker, tournament play, and of course, sports betting, including 2020 sports betting. Think like a pro, which contains an 85-page section on betting golf. And don't forget to check out LVA's famous Member Rewards coupon book, offering discounts on dining and entertainment, including a buy one, get one for the awesome lobster buffet at the Palms, and more than $400 in gambling, free play, match play, and bonus offers. Up your gambling game today at LasVegasAdvisor.com. That's LasVegasAdvisor.com. Attention, all real estate buyers, sellers, and investors. Are you looking for a trustworthy and experienced team to help you navigate the Las Vegas, Southern Nevada market? Look no further than Bascent Realty Group, specializing in residential, commercial, and investment properties. With over 9 years of experience in the industry, we have the knowledge and skills to help you find the perfect property or investment opportunity. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, we're committed to providing exceptional service and delivering results. Contact us today to take the first step towards achieving your real estate goals in Las Vegas and Southern Nevada. Call now, 702-339-8052, or go to BascentRealty.com. Have you ever wanted to play in one of the biggest football contests in Las Vegas and win $1 million or more? At footballcontest.com, find out how to sign up and make your picks through Nevada's most experienced proxy service. You do the handicapping, we do the legwork, and our service is a convenience for both locals and non-residents alike. Over the past decade, thousands have trusted footballcontest.com as their proxy service and have collected winnings of over $10 million. Whether you're a fan of 5 picks against the spread or survivor pools, footballcontest.com has all the information you need to get started. You pick the winners, we submit your picks. It's that easy at footballcontest.com.
Welcome back to deadheatgolf.com, home of the HeatStrokes podcast. Brady, Kannon, and Matt Youmans there. And by the way, our kind sponsor, footballcontest.com, they have offered up a special for HeatStrokes podcast listeners, $50 off your football contest proxy service. Just enter the promo code HEAT when you check out. Once again, footballcontest.com. Save $50 by entering the promo code HEAT. Mr. Youmans, it is the Masters. And, I always say I kind of cop out on this one a little bit. I have 2 favorite majors. The Masters is my answer in April, but in July, you and I share the same answer in the British Open. Talk to me about, I know you love the British Open. We'll talk about that when we get to that episode, but what do you enjoy about the Masters and Augusta National Golf Club?
Well, first of all, it's the first major of the year, and I think that makes it special because we're here in early April after the NCAA Final Four. We're ready for a golf major, and I think that's tradition in the sports world is something that we all look forward to every year. And also, what I like about the Masters is it's the only major played on the same course every year. And from a handicapping perspective, you have a lot of data to review in terms of course history. And I think that's a big attraction for me from a handicapping perspective.
8 of the last 10 Masters winners have been inside the top 20 in the world golf rankings. So it can be a pretty darn chalky tournament. Matt, you're talking about course history. Course experience is something here too. You look at 8 of the last 10 Masters winners, they had at least 3 Masters or at least 3 trips to the Masters before they went on to win. And that's actually a little bit of an anomaly. If you go over the entire course or the entire history of this tournament, the average amount of times winners had played this tournament prior to putting on that green jacket was over 6 times. So it's been a little bit different as of late. Guys are learning quicker, some of these young guns apparently, but experience definitely a factor. This course has so many different nuances. You've got to figure it out a few times before you win it.
Yeah, I was talking about this with our friend Wes Reynolds. I never want to bet a debutante here at the Masters, a guy who's a first-timer. And like you said, I prefer to bet a guy who's played this course 2 or 3 times and has at least shown a positive trend in those first 2 or 3 appearances at Augusta.
Let's get to our first guest, and that is Rich Zanko. He is a golf odds maker at Caesars here locally in Las Vegas and has been a guest of ours on a number of different shows, always for the Masters. And I'll give you Rich's picks here and see what you think, Matt. He's got some interesting ones too, as far as some prop bets. As far as his outrights, he is on Rory McIlroy at plus 850, Victor Hovland at 47-1. Tyrrell Hatton at 80-1. Justin Rose, a really good number here at 87-1. And then the villain, your buddy Fat Pat, Patrick Reed at 90-1. Head-to-head matchups for the full tournament. Patrick Cantlay at minus 125 over Jordan Spieth. Bryson DeChambeau at plus 115 over Harold Varner III. And then the prop bets, I thought this one was good. Margin of victory over 1.5 strokes at minus 135. Phil Mickelson to make the cut at minus 115. And then Will Zalatoris, who has a 2nd place finish and a 6th place finish. Rich Zanko betting on Willie Z to miss the cut at plus 285.
Well, Willie Z is a guy I backed in some tournaments last year quite a bit, but I have not played him much this year. I think only one time. He's not in very good form, and he's also overcoming an injury. It wouldn't surprise me if he missed the cut. In terms of Rich's other picks, who am I to comment on those? I've got my own plays. He and I have maybe a couple common plays on there. I thought it was interesting that he played Rory plus 850. Not many, I'd say very few sharp golf bettors I know will play even any of the favorites at single-digit odds, around 7, 8, 9-1. That's just not going to happen. And I'm not going to play any of the favorites, any of the 3 favorites at single-digit odds either.
Well, in Rich's defense, I'm guilty of this too for the Masters. We mentioned it's a pretty chalky tournament. It's probably the one tournament of the year where I will land on some shorter shots in the, 10-1 neighborhood. Let's get to our friend Scott Van Pelt, who's been kind enough to join us over the years, always for Masters Week. He submitted his picks for the HeatStrokes podcast as well. He has one outright winner selection, and I'm liking it. I'm on this guy too, and that is one of your favorites, Matt, Xander Schauffele. Scott Van Pelt picking Xander to win it this time around. He's had some near misses, but he is on Mr. Van Pelt's card. And then 3 proposition bets for SVP, a top 5 finish for Colin Morikawa, a top 10 finish for Brooks Koepka and Jordan Spieth, and then a top 20 finish for the Irishman, Shane Lowry. What do you think of those?
Well, I like those plays, actually. I'm not going to bet on Schauffele to win. He seems to he doesn't have that clutch gene where we've seen it on the back nine at Augusta where he comes up short in pressure situations. Schauffele used to be one of my favorite players, and he just doesn't come through under pressure enough. I'm not going to play him to win. I think you can play him to finish top 10. We'll see. I like SVP's plays in general. I'm on some of those as well. And when we get to my plays, you'll see which ones I match up on with SVP. And by the way, great job to get Scott on, Brady. I know you've had him on past years in the Masters podcast we have done. And it's always great to see his perspective because he's out there on the course at Augusta talking to players and caddies and everybody else who's hanging around the course. So maybe he's got a little bit of inside information.
Yeah, absolutely. I know he enjoys the heck out of it out there too. So nice of him to take a couple minutes to submit his picks for the HeatStrokes podcast. Matt, you allude to your picks. Let's go ahead and dive in, my friend. Who are you on this week?
Well, Colin Morikawa is one of the guys I'm going to play this week. Brady, you know it. Augusta is a second shot golf course. So one of the stats you want to look at is strokes gained approach. And when I talk about Morikawa, he's not a guy I've had a lot of success betting on. He seems to play poorly when I bet on him. He seems to get hot when I don't. But I think the time is right here. A 2-time major winner. He's got to remove that scar tissue from what happened in Maui in January when he was up 6 strokes after 54 holes, and he blew the Tournament of Champions. He has not won on the PGA Tour since 2001 at the British Open, but he recently said his swing is as good as ever. I think his iron play is in an elite class, right there with Tiger Woods. And, we talked about approach shots being an important element to winning at Augusta. Collin Morikawa's got the game. Now, what could hold him back? His erratic putting could be a problem. But still, I think Morikawa's trending in the right direction in this tournament, finishing in the top 20 in 2021. He climbed all the way up to 5th last year. I think he showed that positive trend that you're looking for in a player you're going to pick to win at an attractive number. Jeff Davis at Circus Sports hung a 33-1 up on Morikawa. I could not resist. I played him at 31-1 and 33-1. And hopefully his irons are hot this week, because if they are, that's a guy who can win it. He's got a game very similar to Tiger Woods in terms of his iron play. And hopefully the putter doesn't hold him back. But also Brady, weather is going to be a factor this week. It could soften up that course where guys like him could pin hunt a little bit more. And we think we might see rain every day at Augusta, so that could be a factor. Also in terms of futures plays, let's see, I played a handful of them here. I've got Justin Thomas at 27-1, Tony Finau at 31-1. I played some long shots that we'll get to in a few minutes, but my primary win bets are on JT at 27, Finau at 31, and Collin Morikawa at 33-1.
Very good. Well, you and I match up on one there for sure. I'll go over my outright plays. And I mentioned I do have one short shot. I bet this way back in September. I took Rory McIlroy at 12-1. Now, I'm not so thrilled about betting him at 8-1. I've even seen, just a shade over 6-1 on Rory. That's really getting pretty slim. But I think, Rich at plus 850, that would probably be about the low point for me. I wouldn't want to go any lower than that. He's got tremendous course history here. He's fantastic on all the correlated courses, and the timing seems to be right. He won in January. He won the CJ Cup prior to that. He just finished third a couple weeks ago at the match play. And maybe all the stars will align with him carrying the torch for the PGA Tour with the LIV deal and all that type of thing. Maybe he finally puts that closure on that career Grand Slam and slips on a green jacket. Jordan Spieth at 25-1, kind of like you playing Morikawa at 33. Jordan Spieth, who I think is a Masters savant, 5 top 5 finishes, including a win. I saw him at 25. That was almost an auto bet for me. I'm on Finau with you. You talk about the conditions, the rain. If it does soften up this course, now Augusta has the ability with the sub-air systems to suck that moisture out of these fairways. But if it just comes down in buckets, they're not going to be able to do that effectively. And Tony Finau has the length to knock it out there. It's really going to be a disadvantage for the shorter hitters if the course does get really soft. And Finau, he's had great success here, great success on the correlated courses. He's won 3 times in 2022. Also, this season has not had worse than a top 25 finish. He's on a roll right now. Xander Schauffele, like SVP, I'm on him at plus 2650. Tremendous track record in the majors. Has a second place and a third place here at Augusta. Dunked it in the water on 16 a couple of years ago when Hideki went on to win. I think he's ready to make up for that and bounce back. And speaking of Hideki, we talk about the big three. You said you're not going to play any of the favorites, Rahm, Scheffler, and McIlroy. I think that's really creating some elevated prices on some of these other guys that are big names. Hideki, I got him at 50-1. Former Masters winner just 2 years ago at 50-1. I think the neck's okay. He just finished 15th in Texas. And Hideki has checked that box of 2 top 15 finishes in his last 3 tournaments. He's a magician around the greens. We don't really see that always out of Hideki. Not known as a great putter, but a tremendous scrambler, and he really putts the heck out of these greens at Augusta National. And then my long shots, Justin Rose, a tremendous track record here, won at Pebble Beach, really has his sights set on making that Ryder Cup team. Guy's been out to the first round lead 4 times in playing the Masters. And then finally, my longest bomb, 80-1 on Tommy Fleetwood. Matt, he is only one of 4 players in this field who ranks top 25 on the PGA Tour in both strokes gained approach and strokes gained around the green. The other guys, Rahm, Jason Day, and Scheffler.
Well, that a couple things you said there lead to more of the plays I've got here. And I did play Rory, top 10 finish, at minus 125. I played Spieth, top 10 at plus 165. And one thing I'll mention about Rory, I do like him. I mean, you and Rich Stanko played him. I don't blame you guys for playing him. Rory has not won a major since 2014. But I expect him to contend. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's up on the leaderboard on Sunday afternoon. He's got course form, current form in his favor. In his past 9 Masters starts, McIlroy has 7 top 10s. You know, he finished second last year, tied for 5th in 2020. So, Brady, he's knocking on the door to Butler Cabin, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it. But I played him to finish top 10. And also with Spieth, you know, he debuted in 2014 with a second place. He won his first major at the Masters in 2015. He was second again in 2016. Third place finishes in 18 and 21. Few players have a stronger track record than Jordan Spieth. So that's a play for me in terms of McIlroy and Spieth, each in the top 10. So I agree with your futures plays from that perspective. And, you know, it's kind of like the Bloods and the Crips showing it up at Augusta this year. We've got the LIV players and the PGA Tour players going to battle. Cameron Smith, how about his track record here? You can make a case that he was the second best player in the world last year behind Scotty Scheffler. At the Westgate Superbook, I played Cameron Smith plus 550 to be the top LIV player in this tournament this week, which means he's essentially got to beat DJ and maybe Koepka. But I like Cameron Smith at plus 550 on that prop. And I did play a few matchups. Finau minus 110 over Schauffele. Homa plus 120 over Day. I think we'll get to the matchup plays. But in terms of bombs, Brady, I agree with what you and Rich said about Justin Rose. I couldn't resist the price that Jeff Davis threw up at Circus Sports. I played Rose at 87-1. I played Keith Mitchell at 125, Tom Hoge at 145, and Billy Horschel, who I'd never bet, but I couldn't resist the number of 325-1. And I also played Cameron Young and Sam Burns a while back, and I got them at better numbers. I got Cameron Young at 50-1 and Sam Burns at 55-1, and hopefully those guys are hot at the right time.
These Masters futures are up for so long period of time that you've got quite a haul there. Looks like 8 to 10 plays in the futures market. Great number on Justin Rose. I've seen him at circa all the way down as low as 73 recently. So you got it at the apex there for sure. My head-to-head matchups, Danny Willett minus 135 over Harris English, Jason Day minus 130 over Cameron Smith. We can both win. He can be the highest LIV player, but as long as Day beats him. And then Scotty Scheffler minus 135 over Jon Rahm. If you've covered all the bases there as far as your plays, Matt, we can get to our pizza money play of the day if you're ready.
Yeah, the only thing I mentioned, Brady, is on some of those long shots, people might say, well, you're playing too many futures, too many. Some of these in triple-digit odds are, you know, like quarter unit or half unit bets. So it's not a full unit on all those long shots like Mitchell, Hoge, and Horschel. Just taking a shot at some great numbers on those. But I think I played a decent mix of props and finish position and matchups. And I think you're going to talk me into the Scheffler over Rahm matchup. I was looking for a way to play Scotty, and I think that's probably the way to play it because I do like him better than Rahm. So I'm going to follow you on that matchup, Brady. So let's get to it.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, Scotty, just so unflappable. And Rahm in his last outing, I mean, he was absolutely the hottest golfer in the world for the first part of this season, but got a little shaky with the irons at the match play. We'll see how he shows up here at Augusta National. All right. It is time for the Pizza Money Play of the Day, and it is sponsored by Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria and Bar in the Summerlin area right here in Las Vegas. Little pizza money on a couple of wild plays. Matt, you go ahead and give yours out, and then I'll give mine.
Dom DeMarco is one of my favorite places in town to hang out. Great food. The owner's a great guy, Al Scalliott, so I'm glad to have Dom DeMarco's on as a sponsor. My pizza money play here is going to be, will there be a playoff? Yes, at plus 400. We're going to go 4-1 odds here. You can find 4-1 out there in the market on this. And this might be wishful thinking, Brady, because major playoffs are as dramatic as it gets. We love to see them. The Masters is due. The last playoff at Augusta, 2017, Sergio beat Justin Rose in one of the darkest days.
Oh, you and I
in
both
golf
remember
history.
it well.
Still burns me to this day, 2017.
Well, rooting for some drama, I'll take that, especially if a couple of our guys are involved in that playoff for sure. The pizza money bet for me, a lot of the stats I crunched, this guy popped in a lot of them, and I actually hit this guy. I had 3 futures in a row to end the fall swing, which was just unheard of. I shocked the heck out of myself in doing that. But the final blow was the RSM Classic. Adam Svensson, I hit him at 150 to 1 to win that tournament. And he popped up in a lot of stats I looked at this week. So I took a stab with him to be the low Canadian. Now he's going to be competing against Corey Connors, Mackenzie Hughes, and then Mike Weir. Mike Weir, probably pretty irrelevant in that 4-ball. But I think Adam Svensson has a good chance to be the top Canadian in this field here at the Masters, and I took that one at plus 325.
Okay, sounds good. I'm ready to eat some pizza. Let's go.
Let's do it. Dom DeMarco's our pizza play of the day, located here in Las Vegas. You can check them out on our website at deadheatgolf.com. That is going to do it. Once again, our inaugural episode of the HeatStrokes podcast. We will be back again next week to preview the RBC Heritage at Harbortown. Want to thank all of our sponsors, footballcontest.com, Las Vegas Advisor, Bascent Realty, and Play Studios. Also want to thank our crew, Tom Catlin on video, Jeremiah Crow from Green Roll Media on the audio, and Trifco on the creative design. Everybody, that is going to do it. Have yourself a great Masters, and we'll talk to you next week. Mr. Youmans, remind everybody.
Stay hot.
You got it.
You've been dialed into the HeatStrokes podcast with Brady, Kannon, and Matt Youmans. Produced in conjunction with Green Roll Media, the world's premier sports betting podcast network.
Subscribing to the show on YouTube is easy. Just search HeatStrokes Podcast. Follow the crew on social media at Las Vegas Golfer, at Matt Youmans 247, and at HeatStrokes Pod.
If you like what you heard, please follow, like, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify today. Good luck out there sinking birdies at Cash and Tickets. We'll see you next week.